Hello everyone. In this video we will solve all the problems of exercise 1b of the pure mathematics 1, that is chapter 1, coordinates, points and lines. So the first question says that test whether the given point lies on the straight line or the curve with the given equation or not, right? So what does the question means is that you are given an equation of a line or a curve, and you have to check or put this point in that equation and see whether the left hand side and the right hand side are equal. By that we mean that whether this equation is satisfied or not. If this is not satisfied, we say this point does not lie on that equation, and if it does satisfy, then that equation, that point lies on that straight line or the curve. So we have the equation, the point is here, which means here x is 0, sorry, x is 1 and y is 2. Now we have to substitute this point in the equation. So y is 2, for x we replace its value, which is 1. So 2 is equals to 5 minus 3, and we can see that this gives us 2. So 2 is equals to 2. That is correct. It means that the equation is satisfied. So it means 1 and 2 the point lies on y is equals to 5x minus 3. So the next question is the point 3 and minus 2 lies on this line or not. So we have x is 3, y is minus 2. We substitute that values we replace for y and for x, and then simplify the equations, the calculations. Minus 2 as it is, 3 is 9, and that gives us minus 7. That gives us minus 2 is equals to 2. That is not true. Minus 2 is not equals to true, false. It means that point does not lie on this equation. Then you have point C. Again, we can check that one. The point D is a substitution, replacing the values of x and y. And here is x and y. X is 1, y is this one. We can replace this by 3 over 2, right? So 1 and half is, you multiply the 2 into 1, and then you add the numerator with it, and then divide by the denominator. So that gives us this number. When you substitute these values and simplify it, you get the same, the true value 3 over 2 is 3 over 2. So that lies on the curve of the equation. Similarly, you can put these points, x is equals to 5, p, y is equals to 5 over p, and at the end we get 5 over p is equals to 1 over p, which is not true. So it does not lie on the curve. You can check these ones. You have x is equals to p, y is equals to this one. We open the a minus b whole square formula. So p square minus 2 times p into 1 is minus 2p, and then plus square of 1, and this plus 1 as it is. We simplify it in this form. Now substitute the values, and then you can see that left hand side is equals to right hand side. And similarly, the last one is t square and comma 2t. So x and y, just substitute the values and see that this one lies on the curve. Second question says that find the equations of the straight lines through the given points. So you need to find out the equation of a line that passes through this point with the gradients shown, and its gradient is given. So if you are given a point and a gradient, so you have to find, how do you find out the equation of a line? So if this point, if the straight line passes through a point x1, y1, and the slope is m, then the equation of straight line is y minus y1 is equals to m times x minus x1. It is also written as, can be written as f of x1 and into m into x minus x1. So you are given the gradient, and you are given the gradient is 5 and the point x1 and y1 is also given as 2, 3. So we can substitute that in the formula. Y is equals to minus this m x minus x1. Y1 we have is 3, m we have is 5, x minus 2, so y minus 3. 5 would multiply to both of these, so 5 into x is 5x, 5 into minus 2 is minus 10. We add 3 on both sides, so 5x minus 10 plus 3, these cancel out each other. We have 5x minus 7. So this is the equation of straight line. Then we have the point is given, the slope is given, the gradient is given. So you just put this in the formula, substitute the values and simplify it. In C you have x0, x1 0, y1 4, and slope is given as 1 over 2. So you can just substitute and simplify. Similarly for D, for E, this point is given as 0 0 and the slope is minus 3. So you can simplify that one too. When the gradient is 0, m is equals to 0. So y minus y1 is equals to m into x minus x naught. It doesn't matter what you have over here. If m is 0, 0 multiplied by anything is 0. So this part is 0. So you have y is equals to 8. Now again you have D and you have a point and you have a gradient. So you substitute the values and simplify it. Again now m is as m. So you can just substitute the m and put the values and simplify it. Again the same one, t is equals to same. Now question 3 says that find the equations of the lines joining the following pairs of points. So you're given a pair of points and you have to find out the equation of line. So for that we use two methods or two equations. Y is equals to mx plus c, or ax plus by plus c is equals to 0. So the first thing is, how do we find out the slope, so or the gradient? So the gradient is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So we can find out m by, we have y2 is equals to 10 minus y1 is equals to 4 divided by x2 is equals to 3 minus x1 is equals to 1. So that gives us 6 divided by 2 and that becomes 3. So m is equals to 3. We have m is equals to 3. Again now you can substitute in the formula. Y is equals to m x minus x1. Y minus y1 is 1, y1 is 4, m is 3, x minus x1 is 1. Open it up, 3 expanded 3 times, x is 3x minus 3, and then add 4 on both sides. So we get these cancel out each other, 3x plus 1. So that is the equation of straight line. Again, we are given 2 points. Find out the gradient. The gradient is 2. Put it in the formula and simplify it. For C, we also have 2 points. We have to find out the gradient, which is minus 2 over 3, and then substitute it in the formula and simplify it. Again, P, there in terms of P and Q. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, q minus 0 over p minus 0. That becomes q over p, and you substitute the values and simplify it. In this one, in the last part, we multiply with a negative minus 1, so that becomes px minus qy is equals to 0. Again, you have points, you simplify it. Question number 4 says that find the gradients of the following lines. You are given a line, you need to find out the gradient of that line. So for y is equals to mx, the slope is the coefficient of x, right? So the coefficient of x is the gradient. If y is equals to 0, right, if there is x is 0 and c is 0, which means y is equals to 0, then the gradient is undefined, right? we don't have a gradient, and if x is 0, then the gradient is 0. So you are given an equation 2x plus y is equals to 7. So you have to change this into y is equals to mx plus c form. So how do we do that? We leave the y here. So to cancel out 2x, we need to write minus 2x on both sides. So they cancel each other out. Y is equals to 7 minus 2x. We can write this as y is equals to minus 2x plus 7. We said that the coefficient of x is called this gradient, so the gradient is minus 2. Similarly, we are given 3x minus 4y is equals to 8. We need to cancel out 3x, so we subtract minus 3, we add minus 3 on both sides. We are left with minus 4y is equals to 8 minus 3x. If we divide by minus 4 on both sides, so they cancel each other out, this one becomes minus 2, and the minus minus become plus 4 over 3x. So we said the coefficient of x is the gradient if we compare it with the y is equals to mx plus c. Similarly, y is equals to 5 can also be written as y is equals to 0x plus 5, so m is equals to 0. 5x is equals to 7, which means 0 is equals to 7 minus 5x, or 0 is equals to minus 5x plus 7. So there is no y in the equation, which means we have the y is equals to 0, the thing that I explained in the beginning. So if y is equals to 0, it means m is undefined. There is no y means m is undefined. Again, you are given an equation, you simplify it, the slope is 3, the coefficient of x. Again, another equation, we need only y, so we divide both sides by 2 to find just y. So this is equals to 7 over 2 minus x over 2 is equals to y. We can write this in this form, they're both the same things. Again, if you have such a situation, 3 is multiplied, you divide this by 3 on both sides. If the 3 cancels out, your y minus 4 is equals to 7 over 3x. You take the 4 to the other side, or you just add 4 on both sides. So you get the gradient is 7 over 3. Again, you simplify this just to find out y on one side, so that gives us p minus p over q as a gradient. Question 5 says that find the equations of the line through the point minus 2 and 1 and is parallel to this equation. So two lines are parallel if their gradients are same. So the line 1 gradient and the line 2 gradient, they are parallel if their gradients are same. So we have point x1, y1. The equation passes through this point, and the required equation is y minus y1 is equals to mx minus x1, right? And this slope is equals to the slope of this one, because the line that we are finding, which is this one, is parallel to this one. So if this line is parallel to this one, it means the slope of these two would be the same. So the slope of the slope of this line is 1 over 2. So the slope of this line will also be 1 over 2. So we just put the values, x is equals to, instead of y we put 1, y1, the value of x is minus 2. Open this up, you simplify it. We have the equation 2. You can call it equation 2 or equation 1. We have the equation, which is this one, of the given line, which is parallel to the previous line, the one that is required. So the gradient of this one is 1 over 2. We said the coefficient of x is always the gradient after you write it in the form of y is equal to mx plus c. So since the lines are parallel, so the slope of both, the gradient of both the lines are the same. So just replace the slope by 1 over 2, the gradient by 1 over 2 and simplify it. Equation 6 is again the same kind of question. So parallel lines, so the slope of this one, the gradient of this one would be the same as the gradient of the required line, right? So you put the values, right, and put the value of the slope. For the slope of this one, you write this in the form of mx plus c. So we found out the slope, the gradient is -2, and since they are parallel, so the gradients are the same, so we just put the value. Question 7 is find the equation of the line through the point and parallel to the line joining this one, these two, which means this gradient that you find from this one would be the same as the gradient of the equation that is required. So we can find out the gradient from this one, which we can find it out by y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, and that gives us -3/8. So just substitute the values of this is x1, y1, put that, and the value of m, the gradient, as -3/8, and simplify it. Next is find the equation of the line through this point. Again, it's exactly the same as question number 7, and then you can do that by yourselves. Question 9 says to find the equation of the line that passes through 1 or 7, a point 1 and 7, parallel to the x-axis. So by x-axis, we mean that the gradient is 0, which means m is equals to 0, right? So y minus y1 in the equation, you just put m is equals to 0, and you can find that out. Find the equation of the line through the point D, 0 and parallel to y is equals to mx. So again, if this is parallel, the gradient are the same. So in this equation of straight line, you just put the gradient as m and replace x1, y1 by d and 0 and simplify it. Question number 11 has a few parts. So find the points of intersection of the following pairs of straight lines. So you are given two equations, right? And you need to find out the point of intersection, which means that you have to solve these two and find out the point xy which satisfy both these equations 1 and 2. So how do we do it? We just can do it by substitution method, which means that you take either of these two equations, find out either x or y from the equation. So we choose this one, we find out y from this one, we replace that y value in the equation 2 in the equation 1. So we chose 2, find out y from here in terms of x, and then substitute that in equation 1 for y. So 3x plus 4y, instead of y we put the value of y in terms of x, which is equal to 33. Then simplify it because the whole equation is in terms of x. Solve it for x, and we found out that x is equal to 7. Now we already know that y is equal to x minus 1 over 2 from the equation 2. So just put the value here, and you will find out the value of y, which is the point of intersection of these two lines. The next one is y is equal to 3x plus 1, y is equal to 4x minus 1. Again, we already have y. Take y from either 1 or 2 and substitute it in the other one. So y is equal to 3x plus 1, the equation 1. We substitute that in equation 2. So we substitute for y its value 3x plus 1. We substituted this value in the equation 1. So for y, we put the value 4x minus 1, solve it for x, and then put the value of x in either of these two equations to find out the value of y. C is again, you have two equations, find out the value from one and substitute it in the other to find out x and y values. These are all equations, all the questions are solved, so you can go through these. And if there is anything that you don't understand, you can ask in the comments. The second last question says that let P with the coordinates PQ be fixed point on the curve with the equation y is equal to mx plus c, and let Q, there is another point RS, be another point on the y is equal to mx plus c. Use the fact that the coordinates of P and Q satisfy the equation, this one. So it means satisfying the equation means that it has the left hand side and the right hand side are equal. Show that the gradient PQ of PQ is m for all the positions of Q. So we are already given the the gradient is m. So we have point P, we have the equation that is satisfied, that passes through, we have the point and the equation through which this point passes, and again, which means that if we put this point in this equation, it is satisfied. So put the values of y, which is this one, q, put the value of x, which is p, so we have one equation. And the same thing goes for the point q, it also satisfies this equation, so put x and y in the same equation. So now we have two equations, q is equal to mp plus c. We can find out c from one equation, and we can find out c from the other equation, right? So from 1 and 2, they're both c's, so we can compare the c. So q minus mp is equal to s minus mr. We simplify it, we have s minus q, and then we have m as a s minus q or r minus p. So the m was asked that what is the m, which is s minus q over r. So we need to find out m in terms of p and q, the points of p and q. So the point of p was p and q, and the point of q was r and s. So if you look at the m now, that is in ps, in q, sq, and rp, right? So that's why we took out c and compare their values, so that we don't have c when we are finding m. Question number 13 says there are some values of a, b, and c for which the equations ax plus bx plus by plus c is equal to 0 does not represent a straight line. Give an example of such values. So if you have an equation of this type, we can write down that ax plus by is equal to minus c. So we are looking for the values of a, b, and c for which this equation does not represent a straight line, right? So if we put x, a, and b 0, if you put a 0 and if a is 0 and b is 0, it means minus c is equal to 0, right? So hence ax plus by plus c is equal to 0 does not represent a straight line, right? Because there is nothing. C is 0, a is 0, there is no equation. 0 is equal to 0, so there is no equation of a straight line. Thank you very much.